Good morning. My name's Chris. I'm Managing Director at Vertical Leap. We are a search and digital specialist, so we're a specialist in search marketing. We've been going since 2001, and we're very different. We've got our own proprietary technology that's an intelligent automation platform that gathers data from all of the best known digital marketing and search marketing platforms out there, correlates it into and collects it into one place, dedupes it, makes it useful, and then analyzes at scale using AI, machine learning, and other automation to kind of automate our insights and just free us up to do a bit more of the creativity. If you'd like to know more about that, obviously let us know. I'm today going to be talking about the 3 things that actually matter right now in search marketing, in my opinion, obviously. Just before we do that, I'm going to break the fourth wall a little bit and just hopefully ease us both into this. I'm recording this on Wednesday last week for you. I'm very familiar with doing presentations on a stage at exhibitions and talks of various kinds. I'm at home on a stage, if I'm honest, but I'm finding this quite extraordinary. And amongst all the other different things we've had to do this year because of the pandemic, this is another one for me. You know, when I'm talking on stage, I can use the audience to feedback, and I know when I'm waffling. I don't have audience feedback, so if I start waffling, I do apologise. I will try and keep myself in check. I do have notes just above the screen to try and keep you in check, and if I keep looking above, that's why. But please do bear with me. There is a point to this. Anyway, 3 things that actually matter right now in search marketing. I'm going to try and avoid going on about the pandemic too much because I think you're probably like me and you're sick to death of it now, okay? However, I do need to talk about an element of the pandemic, and that is what the pandemic has brought, right? The pandemic, amongst many things, has forced behavioural change. And really that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is the behavioural change that the pandemic has brought on, and 3 things we can do to meet those behavioural changes, how it's affected us. And the thing about behavioural change is, as we all know, it very rarely reverts back. You know, we are in an extreme situation, and so our behaviours are extreme in relation to that extreme situation, but we're probably not going to go back to some of our behaviours. You know, I think we can all agree that the world was going online at a pace. You know, businesses were all going on at a pace, but there were many of us that didn't need to do that, or they could take their time. The coronavirus has, you know, exacerbated that and really been a catalyst for bringing perhaps a 5-year timeline to now, right? So everything's gone online, and all those behaviours have changed, and they're not going to change, right? So we need to make sure that we are meeting those in the future. So I'm going to talk, first of all, just a really good example of a behavioural change that's happened. And that is this slide that you're looking at the moment. So this lady on the right represents the kind of person that I think every one of us knows. Some of us might be this kind of person. For me, this lady represents my stepmother. The kind of person I'm talking about is a vegetable squeezer. Some of you may be vegetable squeezers. I'm sure that you all know a vegetable squeezer. My stepmother, as I said, is a vegetable squeezer. And for years and years and years, she has resisted and refused to engage with any online grocery shopping where, you know, I've got an image of Sainsbury's there, whether it's Asda or Lidl or whoever, right? She just would not do it because she likes to squeeze her vegetables. And you can't squeeze vegetables when they're delivered to you, or you can, but it's too late to squeeze the vegetables. I think that's how it works. However, back in, you know, first week or a couple of weeks into April, when that lockdown was in place, she couldn't go and squeeze vegetables anymore, which is a sad, sad story. And she had to use online grocery delivery. And now what that's resulted in is that it's broken her, it's changed her perspective of online delivery, and she's realised that actually it's not a bad thing. And so even though, despite the current lockdown we're in at the moment, generally we were allowed back out, and even though she was allowed back out to do her grocery shopping, she kind of liked it, and she's kept with it. She's realised that she doesn't need to always be a vegetable squeezer, and that it's okay to get groceries delivered, right? And that's going to stay with her forever now. She's always going to use online shopping for as long as she can do. So the pandemic has caused that behavioural change, right? And it's changed the footfall in stores. You know, I'm using examples of big grocery stores like Sainsbury's, but it's changed it for all of us. You know, so many businesses have had to move their offering online. Small local businesses near me, they've had to go online as well. So it's happening everywhere. And people generally like it. I think that's what we can all agree. But it's not just consumers that have changed their behaviours, businesses have changed as well. You know, we've all, or many of us, maybe not all of us, but many of us this year, our businesses, we've kind of had hard lessons in survival. Let's say that. You know, we've had to cut our outgoings, try and maintain our income with whatever resources we've got left, whether that's people or money or, you know, scarcity of both of those things. And I think it's fair to say that for many of us, you know, the business I run is true to that as well, is that it's been a wake-up call for our sales and marketing models that we've been using. And, you know, we maybe realised they're not as robust as we thought they were, or we've maybe identified that they're overly dependent on one single channel or platform. And so really what I'm talking about today is not about detailed tactics, rather it's about the 2 or 3 immediate opportunities or learnings that we should all be considering off the back of this year that we've all experienced. Now, for some of you, it is going to feel basic, but the fact is that really in many of these cases, we need to get back to the basics so that we can make sure that we are able to adjust or pivot. So number 1 is about diversifying your marketing. And for years, we've all been, you know, we've been talking about a multi-channel, multi-platform approach, making sure you're everywhere you can. But a lot of us haven't done that, have we? We haven't done it for usually 2 reasons. One is lack of financial resource. We didn't have anything else to invest at that time, perhaps. Or opinion, you know, either stakeholder opinion or, you know, the highest paid person's opinion, or all of these other things, opinion on whether they think that's worth investing in that channel, regardless of the evidence that we might put in front of them. McKinsey did a study very recently in the last couple of weeks with Google, and Google released the stats. So 37% of respondents this year intend to spend more online during the holidays this year than they did last year, right? Which is good, right? And we understand why. It's the things we talked about earlier. Is, you know, as a big reason for that is that people can't go to stores or they don't want to. I mean, it says 37% here. For all we know, it might be 90% because none of us can leave the house. Nonetheless, right, I think we can all agree that there's going to be more spent online this year than in previous years. What's worrying is that only 12% intend to stick with the same retailers they shopped with last year. And just to clarify, this whole presentation isn't just about retail B2C, it is B2B as well. But these are important stats because they talk about behavioural change. They are saying there's more of us are more comfortable with shopping online or forced to shop online, but we're going to be less loyal. So how do we get in front of that? And how do we safeguard and ensure ourselves against that? Well, let's first of all look at what happened and talk about an important channel, which is SEO. So when the coronavirus outbreak forced us all into lockdown, you know, brands reduced by reducing ad spend in a bid to cut back on, you know, marketing expense. The World Economic Forum said that in the UK alone, in that first week of April, there was an immediate downturn of 12%. And then Marketing Week and eConsultancy conducted a survey that showed that more than 50% of UK businesses were making cuts to their ad spend, PPC and what have you, just in order to get through. Now it's understandable why that happened. PPC, paid media, all of those things really easy to cut immediately. But it laid bare all those that were heavily reliant on those tactics, and it also raised up the businesses that had invested in SEO, because to some extent, those that had invested in SEO in previous years, those that hadn't put off that investment in SEO, that had been able to carry on trading. And that's because SEO doesn't necessarily rely on constant momentum. It needs constant optimization for it to work. But the great thing about SEO is it is about a momentum. It relies on momentum. And whilst it needs continual effort to keep rolling and keep moving forwards, when given enough momentum, SEO will continue rolling for a time, even if you stopped that ongoing optimization. So when we all went into lockdown, we cut those ad spend. All those businesses that had invested in SEO in previous years managed to carry on doing some business. They carried on having some visibility. You know, at Vertical, we've been talking about SEO as being the superhero that got many of our customers through the pandemic. But we're not we're not exaggerating in that. It really was the case that we saw all these customers cut down, and they lost their visibility on paid search. But because they had invested in SEO, those organic results were still there. Even if they were stopping investing in SEO at that particular time because they were cutting their expenses, that SEO carried on working for them. Conductor, I think it was, did a survey that's on the screen now, found that 63% of marketers during the pandemic predicted SEO would become the most important channel for them during this time, and that's what was laid out. So my first message to you here, and the takeaway is, in terms of multi-channel, if you're one of those businesses that has resisted investing in SEO because you didn't see the benefit, or you didn't feel there would be a benefit, or because it has a longer burn on it, it doesn't have those immediate results maybe that PPC does, you need to get rid of those approaches now, and you need to think about investing in SEO. We don't know where we're going, right? There's lots of evidence that we're going to come out of this pandemic, and I'm sure we will, right? All things must pass and everything. But depending on which news outlets and media publications you look at, there's suggestions that this is going to be more frequent. Recessions happen regardless of pandemics. There's lots of things that can knock our businesses off course, or knock our marketing off course. That means we have to cut our spend. And if we rely too heavily on our paid spends, those are the places where we tend to make our cuts, first of all. So you need to make sure you're investing in your insurance, and really SEO is insurance. So make sure you're investing in that SEO. If you don't do it now, it's going to be too late. And it is a relatively low cost investment when compared to other channels. So first takeaway for you is make sure your SEO is in order. Another change in behaviour is that 14% of small businesses either partially or fully converted to online enterprises in order to survive the coronavirus outbreak. 50% was the increase in the number of businesses offering full online services since lockdown. Now that's that change I was talking about earlier, that's brought everything forward. You know, in maybe 5 years' time, this is where we would have been anyway, but actually we're here now. Now, the sad fact is that not all businesses are going to get through this pandemic. But a nice fact is, because for various reasons, a lot of our businesses will hopefully get through, hopefully. And I'm sure you all join me in hoping that is the case. But what it means is the online has become much more competitive, right? If everybody's forced to go online, then we're all fighting. There's more of us fighting harder for those opportunities. So we need to be everywhere. We need to be prolific. And we know who all the major players are. We know Amazon. We need to be on Amazon if we're a retailer. We need to be on Google, across Google, all the various properties, remarketing, Google Display Network, search, SEO, YouTube, what have you. We need to be on social, Facebook, and what have you. We know all about those platforms. So obviously, as we've been talking about for years in the marketing industry, we need a multi-channel platform. I'm going to talk specifically about one of those today. So it's important to remember that search is not just about pull techniques. It's not just about search, it's about discovery as well. And so our best approach to search we can have is search and discovery, right? And push and pull for our more traditional marketers, making sure that we've got search results for people that are looking for us, but we're also using our channels and our tactics to put new things in front of people that might also be interested in that, right? And if you can get that right, we get the sweet spot. As I said, these are your main channels: eBay, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Bing. But it's eBay I really want to talk about today. So eBay is quite exciting, has decided to launch their own native ad network. Now, you can already do target audiences using the Google Display Network on eBay, but they're launching their own native advertising, as I said. And it's incredibly exciting. It's a great opportunity for us. The reason it's such a good opportunity is because it's new. As far as I'm aware, there's only a handful of agencies in the UK that can offer this at the moment, because it's such a fledgling service. The targeting options are fantastic. I'll talk about those in a second. But it's really important you jump on this. It's not just about B2C, it's about B2B as well. And I'll explain that in a second. It's really important you jump on this as soon as possible, because it's a new channel that you can be seen on, but also I think it's going to become significantly large because of the options they're offering. And the sooner you get on this channel and start getting your learnings, the better, because everyone's going to jump on this channel eventually. And the more learnings and more data you've got now means you're going to keep ahead. So what is it, right? So basically, eBay spent many years and years, they've been collecting data on its users' behaviors And it's going to allow us marketers to kind of be a bit more prolific and be a bit dominant, and specifically target 3 types of people on this platform. So first of all, as you can see on my screen, we've got in-market shoppers. So that's eBay shoppers that are actively searching for products or services. All right, they're ready to buy, these people. The reason they're on there looking for those products is they want to buy something. They're in buying mode. So of course we want to be in front of those, and we'll be putting our products in front of them. There's lifestyle audiences you can target, and those are shoppers and personas and audience types with similar habits, interests, and passions, right? So that's another great audience, you know, lookalike audiences. We like those. The really exciting thing about eBay is that it's going to allow us to target sellers. So that's the millions of sellers who run their businesses and use eBay as their storefront. Now, there's an important factor to consider this here with this play from eBay, and that's this. Amazon obviously offers advertising on its platform, but it's in a closed loop. Okay, and what that means is if you put an ad on Amazon and someone clicks on that ad, they will go to another page on the Amazon platform. It's a closed loop. They never leave your site. eBay is not doing that. eBay is allowing you to take people away from their site. Okay, so there's no constraints on there. It's happy for you to divert the traffic away to your site, and so you can create your own landing pages and target your own services. You know, so if we're targeting sellers who are business people, we could be hitting them with our business services. So we could be hitting them with our accountancy services, our office space, you know, our insurances, anything that seller might have who is a business, we can be hitting them, and it's really exciting. So the general point here is that we know we need to be diversifying. We know we need to be having more of a multi-platform channel, and so definitely have a multi-channel. But if you're going to do 2 things this year, I really, really think you should be investing in SEO and also eBay as a new opportunity. Good. So that's about diversifying your channel and just kind of making sure that you've got less reliance on any single platform. The next thing I want to talk about is making sure you get out of your bubble. Okay, so I'm sure by now the industry message of collect data, analyze data, get more data has reached us all, and then we're all collecting data. And if you're not collecting data, you should be. Now, I'm a full-on evangelist of having a data-led, evidence-based marketing approach. However, there is one thing that often doesn't get discussed, and that's this. When combined with marketing and business objectives, human nature and data, right, our marketing can become an echo chamber. And what I mean by that is, I'll use Google Search Console as an example. Google Search Console is a fantastic example. For the record, I love Google Search Console. If you don't know what it does, you should have it on your site. In simple terms, what it does is it tells us everything our website is being seen for, the visibility we have in Google, regardless of whether we get a website visit. So if someone searches for something and your website is returned for it, Google Search Console tells us what that search term was, where it ranked, and various other metrics, whether it got any clicks, what the click-through rate is, etc., etc. Many SEOs, and the way we work is, and the way Google Search Console works, is that it shows you what you've got visibility for, as I said. And then what many SEO practitioners do is they optimize for the visibility they've got. So they get seen for something, so they optimize for that, and then Google tells them. So in a sense, the challenge is that Google Search Console only shows you the search terms you get visibility for, and the only search terms you get visibility for are those that you actively optimize for. And the truth is, we often only actively optimize for the search terms that are in Google Search Console. So we optimize for the things in Search Console, and Search Console tells us what to optimize and understands what we're optimizing for because of what we're optimizing for, which is what we found in Search Console. So you've got this kind of echo chamber. You never find out the new things. You never look up and say, what else could I be looking for, or what behaviors are happening? So let's talk about that. A couple of real quick things you can do. At Vertically, we do this automated. As I said, we have our intelligent automation platform that pulls in all our data and kind of does this kind of insight and more at scale and automated for us. But there are some things you can do. So Google is fantastic for it. So if you go to Google, put a search for something that's important to you. I've put SEO services here, as you can see. Scroll down the page, and there's two places I want you to look. One is the people ask section. People also ask section, and there's questions in there. Have a look in there and see what's being asked for. you know, what are SEO services? What is SEO in 2020? Sorry, is SEO important anymore? Is SEO wasting money? I just want to answer those two questions specifically, those last one. Yes, SEO is important. I know it's not a waste of money, just in case anyone's wondering. Also go down the page, searches related to SEO services. This is related search. Google raises these up because it recognizes these as search terms that are important or related to the search term you put in. Collect that information. Go back to your Google Search Console and see if you're being seen for these searches. If you're not, start optimizing for them, because these are things that Google thinks are important. Google knows are important. Google knows there's enough demand for these searches that it wants to raise them. So here's the first thing you can do to get out of your bubble. Go to Google search for your important search terms that you think are important, the things that you actually optimize for. See what else is happening in the Ask section and the related search. Correlate that with your own data. If it's not in your data, start optimizing, start building it into your content strategy. Also, Google Search Trends is really important for this as well. So do the same service on Google Search Trends. Again, if you don't know what Google Search Trends is, and I appreciate for some of you this may be basic things, but it's really good to be reminded of the basics sometimes. Google Search Trends tells us about trends in searches, obviously. It doesn't give us volume of search in terms of how many searches in the way Keyword Planner does it. It just tells us whether things are trending up or down, 100 being the highest peak that's operated at, and 0 being the lowest. So go to Google Search Trends and see if things are happening. So as you can see, I've done SEO services there, and since 2019, people are actively looking for more and more SEO services. So there's a good bit of information for me there straight away. This is an upward trend and there's lots of demand for it, so I should definitely be optimizing for it. But if I scroll further down the pages, I can find more related queries. And these are queries that are related. Google breaks these queries out as they literally call them breakout queries. So these are things that are on the rise, search terms that are on the rise. As you can see probably on that graphic you can click through, there's more behind there. And again, take this information, correlate it with your Google Search Trends and your Google Search Console data and see if it's appearing. If it's not, build it into your content strategy and start optimizing for it, because this is what people are looking for. So that's one way of getting out of your bubble. Make sure that you're not in an echo chamber of just optimizing for the things that you're already seen for. Also, it's really important to understand your share of search. So there's a number of ways for understanding share of search. And if you follow search marketing at all, you'll see there's a lot of talk at the moment about what's called share of search voice and how it correlates to our overall online, offline market share, which is a really interesting thing. It's definitely something you should be looking at. But it's quite a big piece of work and there's a lot to take into account there. It's really important for you to understand your share of search market. There's a number of ways to do this. SEMrush provides a really easy way to do this. So I'd recommend you go to SEMrush. I'm showing you a screenshot here of what that looks like. So you go to SEMrush, you pop in your site or the site you're interested in and some other competitors, and it will provide this kind of graphic that I'm showing in front of you now. I've put some kind of generic companies in there. And what it shows you is the number of search terms as a bubble that, the visibility, the size of the footprint that brand, that business has, and where the overlaps are. So as you can see from this graphic, Forbes.com has 83.3 million search terms it's seen for. It's clearly got a much bigger bubble than the other businesses. That means it's got a bigger footprint. And then we've got WSJ.com, who's next, 28 million, Newsweek, who's got 28 million, and GQ, who've got 8 million. So we can see GQ has got the smallest footprint there. What we can also see is where those footprints overlap. So anywhere that there's an overlap, those are search terms that the overlapping businesses are seen for, right? That's good. The opportunity is in those search terms where there's no overlap. So Forbes.com is seen for a significant amount more than those other businesses. So what you can do with this is identify what that data is through the SEMrush platform, find the search terms in there that are relevant to you, and start optimizing for them. So it's a competitor gap analysis. What are my competitors being seen for that I'm not being seen for? And it's just another way for you to understand how big your market is. As you can see, the market is potentially huge. Forbes is an example of that. And none of the others are getting close to that. So there's a lot more market they're going to be going after, and you can identify what those individual search terms are. So there's a couple of things for you. So if I could just round this up, you need to really diversify your marketing this year. The pandemic has really changed things for us. We need to get on that multi-platform. So first of all, make sure you've got your marketing underwritten by the insurance that is SEO. If you're not investing in SEO, this could potentially happen to you again. If we have a disruptive element to the economy, such as a recession or a pandemic or anything like that. Diversify your marketing. Get on your SEO. Get a multi-platform channel. Really important you look at eBay. It's got some great opportunities. Number 2 is get out of your bubble. Don't rely on just your own echo chamber to know where you should be going next. Okay, start looking at what other people are searching for outside of your bubble. You can do that with Google search trends. It's easy to do that, and also just by searching and seeing what else is happening. And also understand your share of search. How much search do your competitors have that you don't have, that you should have and you could have? That's it really. Thanks very much for bearing with me. I appreciate this has been a bit of a strange experience. I've found it quite strange, and I realise that I've waffled a bit and jumped around a bit. I think we're having a question and answer session now. So if you want to ask me some questions live, I'll probably be able to answer them a bit more succinctly than I did in this presentation. As ever, we're Vertical Leap. If you want to talk about any of those things or discuss your search strategies, please do give us a shout. There's some of our contact details, info@vertical-leap.uk. Our website is vertical-leap.uk. Phone number is 02392 830 281. I hope this has been useful for you. Please do reach out. Thank you.